Hi everybody, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Juan. I am just one reader and this is my stupidly, ridiculously ambitious TBR for the month of September 2017. Now, I am filming this video in the last week of August, so there's a little bit of predicting going on here. Basically what I do, the way that my weird mind works, is I have a somewhat specific and somewhat strict TBR already planned for September, October, November, and December. I even have an outline of the books that I want to read in 2018. Go figure. So what I'm doing is I am taking into consideration the books that I have read from my August TBR and the ones that I haven't been able to read and that I don't think I will be able to finish by the end of August. I'm going to push them and move them to September. So there's going to be a little change in my plans, and the biggest change that I am doing is I wanted to read the Historic Materials trilogy by Philip Pullman before the Book of Dust came out in October. But realizing that I didn't really complete my August TBR, I don't think I will be able to actually do that. So I will not be reading Historic Materials before the Book of Dust comes out. I really wanted to read this trilogy to sort of feel like I had all of my memories about the original trilogy refreshed. But honestly, the Book of Dust is not going to be like an actual sequel or prequel. It's kind of a weird entity on its own. So I'm not really that concerned with not reading the original trilogy before reading the Book of Dust. And eventually in the future, if I feel like I'm just missing out on something when I read the Book of Dust, I can just, look for a summary of the original trilogy or something. I don't think it's that necessary to reread the series. Now let's talk about the books that I will actually be reading in September. So first I have two books that I haven't yet received, but I am planning on reading them as soon as they come here. So the first one is Sarah Winman's Tin Men, which everybody is loving at the moment. And the other one is the new Dan Brown thriller featuring Robert Langdon. It's called Origin. I think it takes place in Spain, and I am so excited about it. Then I have three novels that were actually part of my August TBR, but there's no way in hell that I will be able to read them by the end of the month, so I'm just going to read them in September. The Beautiful Bureaucrat by Helen Phillips, A Brief History of Seven Killings, and American Psycho. Next up, I will be reading two novels that are both very sort of important, very literary, and they have won a lot of accolades and awards, and they are by two very important authors, and I have not read either one of them, so I'm really excited to get started with these authors. One of them is Disgrace by J.M. Coetzee, and the other one is The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison. Then some children's fiction to lighten the mood. I will be continuing the series of Unfortunate Events by Lemony Snicket, books 10 and 11, which are The Slippery Slope, this is book 10, and book 11 is The Grim Grotto. I remember loving this one in particular. Then I will be tackling a novel that I have been anticipating ever since I knew of its existence, and that is Lauren Groff's Fates and Furies. And I am aware of the fact that this book might take me longer to read because Lauren Groff is a writer who really emphasizes this very beautiful melodic prose. Her writing style is just really flowery and really lyrical. And I know I want to take the time to properly pay attention to it. But yeah, I'm really excited to finally read this. Then I will be reading something more modern, and that is Autumn by Ellie Smith. Now, I know that this book has a lot to do with Brexit and the political climate that we're living in. The problem is I am a very ignorant person when it comes down to political events in the world, and I am not very well versed on what's happening in the world, so I'm guilty of that crime, but hopefully I will be able to still understand it, inform myself, and enjoy it. Then I will try to read Under the Skin by Michel Faber. Michel Faber is an author that I already know because I read The Crimson Petal and the White last year and I loved it. It was one of my honorable mentions of 2016. And I've heard that this is very different, obviously, because The Crimson Petal and the White is a Victorian historical fiction, Dickensian almost type of novel, and this is something that I think has to do with like an alien. I may be wrong, but it's kind of what I'm expecting. I know that there's a film adaptation. I have watched the first 5 minutes of the film and I thought it was eerie and creepy but fascinating, so I'm really looking forward to this. Then another book that I have hugely anticipated, and that is Helen Ham's Apple of My Eye. This is a memoir and love letter to Manhattan, and this was a recommendation from you guys, so I'm really excited to read it. And you know, Manhattan is one of my favorite places, or no, my favorite place in the world, so I'm really looking forward to reading some nonfiction about it. And last but not least, I wanted to read some children's fiction classic, and I just picked this one up randomly. This is The Railway Children by E. Nesbit, with an introduction by Jacqueline Wilson. I picked this up at the Strand bookstore in Manhattan last time I went to Manhattan, which was, what was the last time I went to New York? I think it was around 2 years ago. I picked this up. The cover just attracted me, and I think it was a staff pick from in the children's classics section of the Strand. The Strand bookstore, by the way, is my favorite bookstore and probably just my favorite place in the world, period. So that is it for today. That is my stupidly ambitious September TBR. I am perfectly well aware of the fact that I will probably not read all of them. I will honestly be happy if I can read 6 or 7 of them, considering that there are some chunky books like A Brief History of Seven Killings, American Psycho, Fates and Furies. The others I'm kind of not that intimidated by because they're shorter, so I think I can probably read them in 2 or 3 days each, but yeah, who knows. So now it's your turn to get me all excited about these books that I just mentioned. Please comment in the comment section down below, and I will see you on the next video.